The Indiana Fever fans were chanting, "Sophie, Sophie."
In a game where Caitlin Clark was being hit from every side while the referees stayed silent, the crowd kept shouting, "One thing, do something." And that was the moment Sophie Cunningham stepped in, because she understood exactly what needed to be done.
Sheldon goes coast to coast. And here's we got another.
In a moment that has now gone completely viral, Sophie Cunningham didn't just send a message to JCS Sheldon, and she didn't just send a message to the Connecticut Sun, she sent a message to the entire WNBA. Don't mess with Caitlin Clark.
Teams are going to have to think twice about messing with Caitlin Clark again.
And while fans are furious over how Caitlin Clark was attacked on the court with no real consequences from the refs, they finally got what they had been begging for: an enforcer, a protector, someone who isn't afraid to step in and send a message. Out of the chaos of terrible officiating, a new star was born. In that single moment, Sophie didn't just defend her teammate, she lit the spark that could shift the entire tone of the Fever's season. And yes, it might seem early to say this, but Sophie just became a household name across the sports world.
They didn't know, like, whoa, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe people are doing this to Caitlin Clark. Teammates weren't jumping in there. They bring in Sophie Cunningham. I had no idea. Sophie Cunningham was a black belt at the age of 6.
Yeah. Yep.
Boom!
Wow, the impact is already clear. Within just 48 hours of that game, Sophie's name is everywhere. The clips are going viral, fans are fired up, and the tone has completely shifted because this is no longer Fever versus the league, it's Caitlin versus the world. And Sophie has now stepped into the role of her undisputed bodyguard. Here's the crazy part: that single moment could end up making Sophie millions, and that's no exaggeration. The signs are already there. Let's break it down. But first, make sure to like this video, drop a boxing glove in the comments if you love seeing Sophie step up, and don't forget to subscribe for more WNBA updates.
When they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game, it's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates back.
There's no denying that the Fever's matchup against the Sun marked a new low for the WNBA. Complaints about officiating have been around for years, and Kelsey Plum was even brought to tears recently, admitting she prays for it to improve. But what happened in that game made one thing painfully clear: it's open season on Caitlin Clark, and the refs aren't going to lift a finger to stop it.
Watch when Caitlin Clark is trying to create some space. It looked like she just got hit in the eye there.
Ooh, and Marina Mabry. I missed that one, Edona.
JCS Sheldon went straight after the face of the league, and in the chaos that followed, Marina Mabry body-checked Caitlin to the floor. It felt like Dana Carrington and Kennedy Carter had somehow cloned themselves and come back as a tag team. And when the other angles of the play surfaced, it became crystal clear that it was even worse than it looked in real time.
This angle is wild, folks. There's the eye gouge. Watch Mabry. Boom! I mean, come on.
JC's swipe wasn't just careless, it was targeted. And Marina didn't just bump Caitlin, she sent her flying. In the NBA, this kind of stuff would get flagged instantly, but in the W, it's treated like just another Tuesday. What made it worse was the lack of pushback in the moment. Sure, Lexi got in JC's face a little, but overall the Fever didn't show much fire on the court, especially Stephanie White. Now, to her credit, she redeemed herself at the press conference. But in real time, fans were begging her to channel Bobby Knight and launch a chair, which, let's be honest, would have been an unforgettable visual considering Knight coached Indiana. And before anyone starts throwing around the Caitlins soft narrative, just stop.
It made me think if this was LeBron in the NBA, think if this was Steph Curry in the NBA, do you really think that the NBA would be allowing certain players in the NBA to go after LeBron the way that Caitlin was chucked to the ground? Do you think if another player came up, blindsided LeBron, chucked him to the ground after he had just been poked in the eye, that the NBA would be like, oh yeah, technicals, nobody's ejected, just a common technical foul? That would never happen. It would never happen.
There's no way this kind of thing would happen to Steph or LeBron without immediate consequences. Even the commentators were stunned that Marina wasn't tossed for that body check. And here's the kicker: Caitlin Clark is actually more important. to the WNBA right now than Steph or LeBron are to the NBA. That's not some hot take. That's just reality. We all saw what happened when Caitlyn missed 5 games.
Even as good as that rating was, Caitlin Clark's good for about 1 million extra viewers.
Ratings didn't just dip, they collapsed. Fever games alone dropped by more than 50%, and overall league interest sank right with them. You'd think by now the WNBA would have a clear directive: protect Caitlyn at all costs, give her the star. Calls, give her real protection, wrap her in bubble wrap if you have to. That's why this wasn't just a bad missed call, it was outrageous treatment of the league's most valuable player. A complete black eye for the WNBA. And now the refs are getting shredded from every direction: fans, analysts, even former players. Because this isn't just about missed whistles, it's about a level of disrespect that stretches across the entire league.
And I mean, when I tell you social media is setting the WNBA on fire right now, not in a good way, that's the understatement.
Anyway, even though the Fever were comfortably ahead and cruising to victory, with Caitlyn already delivering the highlight of the night with that dagger 3 and the ice-cold trash talk to the Suns bench, something still felt unfinished. The win was in hand, but the statement wasn't. There was this emptiness, a sense that the game was closing without true resolution, like the story hadn't been written all the way. And that's when Sophie stepped in.
That's a flagrant foul. It's a hard foul.
With the game already locked up, Sophie took down JC Sheldon with a hard foul and then put her taekwondo training on display. It was pure catharsis. Fever fans, WNBA fans, Caitlin Clark fans, everyone who's been frustrated with how Clark has been treated, finally got the pushback they'd been begging for. But this wasn't just about one play or one player. It felt like Sophie was striking back for weeks of cheap shots, missed calls, and blatant disrespect, like she was speaking for every fan who's watched the refs ignore it all. It wasn't just a foul, it was payback.
I truly think that this was a message that she was sending to the leagues, to the officiating, just like to everybody, because it is, if you are watching any of these games, you are seeing that there is a disparity in the way that it's being officiated, and the Indiana Fever are held to a standard that no other team is.
And here's where things get really interesting, because this goes far beyond just one hard foul. What happened against the Sun feels like a turning point for the entire league. Maybe, just maybe, the WNBA finally takes a serious look at its officiating problems and actually makes changes. But the reality is that the lack of consequences for this, first a blatant face swipe, then a body check on the league's biggest star, was a step too far.
All right, enough is enough. You know, at some point, the line gets crossed too often where something needs to be done and things need to be corrected.
There are 2 massive outcomes from that game, and both carry huge weight. On one side, you've got Caitlin Clark fans who were already fed up. For more than a year, they've been mocked by the media, dismissed as not being real basketball fans, and even called outright awful names, all while they were the ones packing arenas and driving record-breaking viewership. And now, after seeing Caitlyn get swiped across the face and slammed to the floor with 0 consequences, that frustration has exploded into full-blown outrage.
Again, the league's been handed this miracle, this beacon of light, while it was down in some dungeon in the basement on life support, and it was never turned a profit, lost $40 million last year. They get handed this beacon of light, and all these players cannot stand her. They're jealous, the players union, it looks like the whole league.
Many Caitlin Clark fans have now reached a point where it honestly feels like the league doesn't even want to succeed with her. And when that feeling sets in, everything changes. Fans begin rooting for 2 things at the same time: for Caitlin Clark to keep dominating and for the league to completely collapse in every game without her. Because if the league isn't going to protect her, promote her, or even recognize what she's doing to drive its growth, then why would her fans care about anything else? It creates a damaging situation that splits the fan base, leaves the league's biggest star isolated, and puts long-term growth at serious risk. And then there's the next part of the story.
And then there's this.
So this is a petition to get Sophie Cunningham removed
from the WNBA, where she displayed tonight, was disgusting.
Now, you might think this is just internet noise or some silly petition, and I'll get to Sophie's epic clapback in a minute because it's genuinely hilarious. But first, let's talk about what's really going on. There are people out there, and not just random trolls, but actual parts of the fan base, who are completely losing it, calling for Sophie to be banned from the league, demanding that the WNBA move the All-Star game out of Indianapolis, and even pushing for boycotts. And it becomes even funnier when you step back and remember how different things looked just a few months ago.
The anti-Clark fans, I am seeing them not only celebrate Kiari Fan in this situation, but say that Sophie Cunningham was at fault for what happened, and she got what she deserved, and saying good job Kiki Iriafe.
In a preseason game against the Mystics, Caitlin Clark haters had no problem when Sophie Cunningham was taken to the ground with a hard foul, and not only did they defend the player who did it, Kiki Fen, but they actually celebrated it, with some of the loudest voices online even encouraging more of that kind of play.
We are seeing literal people, not threats of violence, but people encouraging violence against a player. And that's not on. That's not on for nothing. There are people literally out there encouraging violence against Sophie Cunningham. And these are the people that want to say another fan base is the worst fan base in the WNBA, and they're encouraging literal violence against players.
This is just my take, but it really feels like the league and a big part of its fandom cannot emotionally handle Caitlin Clark being the one out front. And it doesn't stop with her, it stretches to anyone who supports her, plays alongside her, or stands up for her on the court. And you only have to look back at what happened after the Sky game to see it. Because when Angel Reese was fouled by Caitlin, the outrage quickly spilled over onto the Fever players, with fans questioning their toughness, their reactions, and even their character just because they didn't respond in the way some people thought they should. And that kind of thing goes way beyond sports talk, it's something deeper, like simply being connected to Caitlin Clark in any way instantly makes you a target, which once again shows that it's Caitlin Clark and her teammates against the world.
The kind of stuff that's being said to them, the stuff that's being said to Kelsey Mitchell, the kind of things that are being said to Natasha Howard are actually wild. People have taken a photo of these women and circled a bullseye on them and have said, it's on site when I see you. Those are actual threats.
And with all of that tension building, you now have the perfect setup for what's happening with Sophie Cunningham, because she didn't just step in to protect Caitlin. She filled the exact role fans have been begging for, becoming the enforcer. The one willing to take a stand, send a message, and put the entire league on notice. And that single moment, that flagrant foul, that viral clip, that burst of energy is already turning her into a star, not just in Indiana and not just among Fever fans, but across the whole sports world, because in just 48 hours, everything shifted.
Guys, it's actually insane how viral this has already gone. There's so many NBA accounts who are tweeting it. I was getting ESPN notifications about it. Like, it is wild how much traction.
Sophie's move is blowing up across social media, YouTube, and everywhere else. It's all people are talking about. And here's why it matters. Caitlin Clark's fan base isn't just big, it's massive, and no other player in the league comes close. These fans don't just watch, they mobilize, they post nonstop. They defend, and they boost anyone who stands with Caitlin. And Sophie didn't just stand with her, she stepped in front of the train and said, "Not today," defending Clark on the national stage in the middle of a chaotic, physical game at the exact moment fans were begging for someone to step up. Now she's reaping the rewards, because within 48 hours Sophie picked up nearly 600,000 new TikTok followers. And that's not just a small bump, that's sponsors paying attention, agents making calls, and people who had no idea who she was suddenly calling her the bodyguard of the W. And the crazy part is, this is only the beginning.
Sophie Cunningham's jersey has sold out. I repeat, the Sophie Cunningham Fever jersey has sold out.
Her jersey was gone from shelves within hours, and fans who hadn't even heard her name a week earlier were suddenly all in on Sophie. And as for that petition floating around to get her kicked out of the league, she couldn't have handled it better. Her response was absolutely perfect.
They got beat up by the enforcers, but Sophie Cunningham has responded to the petition by just retweeting a freaking post about her jersey being sold out. That is a response. That is quote tweeting her the petition. Like that is the best way of going about it.
At the end of the day, fans speak loudest with their wallets and their attention. And right now, that's sending a crystal clear message. Sophie Cunningham, already known within WNBA circles, has officially broken through as a Caitlin Clark fan favorite. And here's why that matters. Critics love to claim that Caitlin Clark supporters only care about Caitlin, that they don't care about the Fever or the WNBA at all, just one player. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Yes, they love Caitlin, but they also care deeply about the team she's on, and more than anything, they rally behind anyone who has her back. And nobody has shown that more clearly than Sophie did. She stepped up, delivered a hard foul, sent a message, and put her own body on the line to defend the face of the league. Fans aren't just noticing it, they're rewarding it. And I don't think this is some short-lived reaction that disappears next week. Sophie Cunningham just earned Caitlin Clark's fan base for life. And when that bond is built, the results are massive. Just look at Kate Martin, a second-round pick who averaged under 3 points a game last year. Yet she outsold the reigning MVP in jersey sales simply because she was Clark's Iowa teammate. So now ask yourself, what happens when Sophie Cunningham, after going full enforcer mode, takes a flagrant foul to send a message and connects with fans in such a raw way? The answer's simple: she's about to cash in big time.
I wonder how much money Sophie Cunningham is going to make on endorsement deals this season, this summer. Like, I think Sophie Cunningham's endorsement deals are going to go into the millions, are going to be in the millions this year. I think they're going to be in the millions this year. Because if you are not only like good in front, like she's good in front of a camera, she is now known as the Caitlin Clark's enforcer. And like, it's something that matters. It's something that really, really matters.
First off, Sophie already had the personality and presence to become a star. Back in her Mercury days, she was even moonlighting as a TV analyst for the Phoenix Suns, and she was damn good at it. She's natural on camera, charismatic, relaxed, the kind of person who can talk with the media, connect with fans, and never come off like a robot reading cue cards. She understands how to engage people, and let's be clear, she's not just out there to throw elbows. Sophie is no goon, she's a legit baller. She's hit clutch shots, made smart plays, and proven she can be the veteran leader the Fever need. Whether it's a fight, a big-time game, or a full-blown media storm, Sophie knows how to step up and deliver.
For me to come in here knowing what I've been taught, I kind of want to spread it around, especially with how talented this group is. I'm just excited to kind of maybe be that calm piece when it needs to be calm, that feisty, sassy, stick up for my teammates when it needs to be that. And so just kind of reading the room and, you know, whatever the team needs that day, being able to provide.
Many were already calling her the Fever's most underrated signing, the X factor that quietly makes everything work. The one who gives Caitlin Clark and the Fever the toughness, spacing, and leadership they need to actually take over the WNBA. And now we're watching that prediction play out in real time. In a league that's turned personal, fans versus the establishment, Caitlin versus the haters, one thing is clear. Caitlin Clark fans are fiercely loyal, and they are rallying behind anyone who defends her. Sophie Cunningham answered the bell loudly, publicly, perfectly. And now she's about to reap all the rewards. If you're still here, drop a basketball in the comments to say hi. Thanks for watching.